Hey guys, hey. Thank you so much for tuning into Carol's Daily Sauce. I apologize that I've been away for a couple of days. I actually and I'm through with this semester. I don't want to be copyrighted. Let me turn my TV down. Not that I don't want to be copyrighted, but I don't want to get striked for copywriting, and that is a movie with Denzel. So they probably would copyright me. Anyways, or strike me. I don't know why I keep saying it. Thank you so much for tuning into Carol's Daily Sauce. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And please don't forget to click on the bell to be reminded of each and every video that I upload. And I upload quite a bit. As I said, I've been gone for a couple of days. I actually have not been feeling 100%. I went to the doctor on yesterday, got some okay news. And I got some news that I didn't like, but it's doable, it's changeable, it's something that I really need to work on. I got to give a shout out to my girl Kiva once again. I ended up running into a situation where I viewed one of her videos, and she was indicating that she was drinking so much coffee, and the coffee actually was killing her. Well, the coffee that I drink, which is a lot of coffee normally during the day, I have had to bring it way down. My husband only lets me drink one cup of coffee a day because when I did go to the doctor, my blood pressure was very elevated, and my doctor would like for me to get a blood pressure machine, which I am not, because I know how to. I hadn't taken my pills, number one, and I've been drinking a lot of coffee. Normally when I get high blood pressure problems, I get a headache, but because I was drinking the coffee was kind of like offsetting it. But that's not what we're here for. I'm very glad to be back. I did miss you guys. So what we are doing, because I got to stay on it, you guys. I got to stay on it. Tired or not, I have to stay on it. We are discussing our 30 days to taming our tongue. We are on a 30-day tongue fast. This is a book by Deborah Smith Paguz. I will put the information in the link if you want to purchase it on your own. Very good book. We have discussed so many different tongues, and I believe prior to the 20th day, which is today, we discussed the rude tongue. Well, the tongue that we are discussing today is the judgmental tongue. And I think all of us have fell into being judgmental at one time or another, if we're really honest with ourselves. A lot of times people aren't, and that's okay if that's what you choose to be. But I believe that we all have fell into being and using the judgmental tongue. I'm reading in the book, and I'm going to read the scripture reference. The scripture reference is Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 through 2, and it reads, "Do not judge, or you will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged." Self-explanatory. The Lord is telling us not to judge, because if we judge others, we too will be judged. So I'm going to go over a few of the notes and things that I read out of the chapter for our day 20 of the judgmental tongue. The writer writes that judgmental people often engage in the critical fault-finding assessment of another person's behavior. They judge others by you guys, I messed up. I can't even read my own writing. They judge others by their behavior, yet they judge themselves by their intentions. And that's not right, because if we want to judge others by behavior, we should judge ourselves by behavior. But frankly, you're not supposed to be judging from what God says. We all often tend to judge the behavior of another person, especially if their choice or their decision doesn't match what we feel it should be. We feel as if theirs is different from ours, we judge theirs as wrong. The writer confesses that she often judges people, and she often judges people basically because she doesn't like a slow-paced person. If you're slow-paced, she tends to think that you're lazy or slow-witted, because the only two modes that the writer operates in are intense and off. So if you're not going at an intense speed or at an intense level, then you should be off. That's the way that she looks at it. She often has to remind herself that it doesn't mean that they're slow or slow-witted. It doesn't mean that they're lazy. It does just mean that they are actually different. People can judge based on rumors, but there is a philosophy that follows an age-old parental advice. And you know what that is? And I know everybody's parent has told them this. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. My mother used to tell us that all the time, and she used to tell us that all the time, specifically when we were dealing with one another, myself and my siblings. We were never in a million years raised to be mean to one another. Definitely not that. But we weren't raised to be mean to other people. My mother used to always tell us, well, you don't know their situation. You don't know how their mom and dad, if their mom and dad are together. We don't know how people were raised. So in that, we must be careful how we discuss others. We must be careful how we discuss others. We must be careful how we speak on others. The author speaks of how she and her husband were members of a very popular church at one time. Rumors were beginning to swarm around about the pastor. And as leaders of the church, she and her husband were leaders. They were privy to information that a normal congregation member would not be privy to. So what would happen is she and her husband agreed that there was no purpose in speaking on the situation. There was no purpose in speaking to people about the matters that they knew, yay or nay, truth or false about. People, the members, would attempt to engage them in conversation, but they agreed that they were going to offer any type of information that people can use to pass judgment on the pastor. And that right there is really, really good. Sometimes when we hear things about people, instead of us going to that person and possibly saying in love, this or that is being said about you, we tend to, if we don't automatically come out and just start gossiping about that person, if someone said something about it, then we tend to engage in it. And just because you didn't bring it up, just because you weren't the one that brought the situation up, doesn't mean that you did not partake in the judgment or in the gossip, because if you begin to talk about it, you partook in it. So one of the references in the Bible, in the Bible, gave a Bible reference. It was Matthew 7, verses 3 through 5. And this is when Jesus spoke to the people, and he was telling them that if you're going to judge somebody, my head is itching. If you're going to judge somebody, first of all, he referred to them as hypocrites, okay? And he said the hypocrite needs to remove the plank. Y'all know what a plank is. A plank is a big old piece of wood. And if you got a big old piece of wood in this here eye, you ain't going to be able to see. You're going to be blind. So we understand what God is saying. He says, if you hypocrite, you need to remove the plank out of your eye, and then you might be able to see clearly. So if you are in fact going somewhere gossiping, and even if I said before, you're not the one who intentionally first brung up the gossip, if you're partaking in it, you are a part of it. Jesus, based on his judgment of people's behavior, always bases his judgment on none other than God's standards. He always bases his judgment basically on God's standards. This is the only basis from which we can rightfully judge. If it's not under the standard of God, if it's not in a way in which he has ordained it, then we are operating wrongly. We would do well to focus on judging others. We would do well to focus on judging ourselves than hunting for situations or specks in the matters of another. I don't know what it is about me. I just don't understand why a person would find it important to find out something about another person and just run away with it. That right there is completely beyond me, because who are you? I mean, what, y'all, I don't understand it. I just don't get a lot of justification, satisfaction off of being nosy, wanting to know people's business, gossiping about people. I don't even care what it is. I just don't get a lot of personal satisfaction myself from that. Y'all, excuse me, because you guys know I get kind of scratchy throat. Plus, I want to show you guys, I have a little, I know my cup is huge, y'all. I know it is. It's full of water, too. Excuse me, I have a 99-cent store haul coming up. And this is something that I purchased at the 99-cent store. This is a triple stainless steel triple insulated cup. And this is going to be what I'm going to be having my water in. Is that not the most beautiful? Gosh, it's so pretty. So I have to really increase my water intake. Okay, so excuse me. So instead of focusing and hunting on the specks of others, trying to find out what it is that they're doing right or wrong, you know, personally, if we really think about it, think about all the other days that we looked into, and all the other days that we looked into, the lying tongue, the manipulating tongue, the self-absorbed tongue, all those tongues that we looked into. When you get to the very end of the chapter, it always goes to whether or not somewhere around there or not, whether or not you have self-esteem. If you have self-esteem and self-respect for yourself, you're not going to go looking for that of another, that another person may or may not have. It's one of those types of situations where who cares? You understand what I'm saying? Though we care and love people, we really should, because we are Christians. But when you start going to go dig deep and to go into people's personal and private situations and to try to find faults against one another, that is not operating in the spirit of love. No way, no how. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you. It's just not doing it. And I just think of all the time that people can waste when they do that. You waste a lot of time trying to find the bad in another person. I personally believe that I would get personal satisfaction by trying to find the good in a person, by helping them to find the good within themselves. Because trust and believe, there are a lot of people out there who walk around acting and pretending like they know who they are, acting and pretending like they really love themselves, and they really don't. They don't need you nor I to point out any bad thing. Instead of beating people down, we need to lift people up. You know, I like your shoes, I like your earrings, I like your dress. But remember, we can't operate in the lying tongue, because that was one too. Don't lie or give a compliment just to suffice someone, because that falls along in the sides of a rude tongue as well. So what we need to do is we need to pray for those that we see that are walking contrary to God's word, but avoid judgment. So if you see somebody that is bringing to you gossip, that is bringing to you something rudely about something, you might want to say, you know, sister, brother, I understand how you may feel, but if you're not coming to me, bringing me loving, kind words that are loving, kind, loving and kind and uplifting, then you're going to have to take that away, because I just don't like to speak about things of that nature. You can't call yourself a Christian and operate in such a way of judgment or mistreatment of others. If you have a genuine concern for someone and you feel comfortable speaking to them as to whether or not what they're doing, as far as being rude and rude talking about someone, do so in the spirit of love. Because a lot of times what I've run into when I've had situations when people have come to me and they wanted to use a rude tongue towards someone, if I've said, you know, I'm not here to, I don't really want to get down with that, that's something that I'm not here, 9 times out of 10, they fell into their flesh. So you just have to do it in the spirit of love. Remember, if you've earned the right to walk up to someone or to be in conversation with someone by telling them, well, you know, that might not be the nicest thing to say, or however you choose to do it in love, do so by consistently demonstrating that you care. And always, always, always let them know that you are supporting them. Well, you guys, that's been it for the rude tongue. The rude tongue was very, very short. I was very surprised because the rude tongue, ooh, a tongue period can slice you up. But the rude tongues, ooh, baby, they can do a lot. So what I'm going to do is reach behind me and we're going to go over day 19. Oh, you guys know what? This was not the rude tongue. The one I did is the judgmental tongue. So I'm sorry. We just finished up the judgmental tongue for day 20. We just finished up the judgmental tongue. What we're going to do right now is go over day 19 of the rude tongue. This one, baby, this one got me because it was talking about how people have a lot of road rage in the world today, how people have gotten killed as a result of road rage, how people in road rage shout obscenities at one another to the fellow drivers, and it's just completely out of control. One of the things that it did say is that we need to think about the things that we do and say to people. And this book has said this throughout the whole entire process. There was a golden rule, and the golden rule was treat others, do unto others. Luke 6:31, do unto others that you would have them do unto you. Quite naturally, you wouldn't have anybody hanging out a window cursing you out because of how you drove. You also wouldn't be that one where a person is talking and instead of you listening to what that person is saying, you butt in and interrupt that person and then change the subject. We have to realize that being rude and nasty to people can really, really spoil someone's day. Someone could have got up in the morning and had a really good day and encountered some time with you, and in a matter of 3 seconds, you've made their day horrible. Another rude thing is when cell phone users are on the phone and they're loud talking, but also when they're on the phone and they're using offensive, annoying words. You know, even though, you know, sometimes people have to take their calls, whether it may be work or they may be dealing with their children, there is a way in which we should handle those calls. Lastly, the third one I'm going to give you is the one where people want to talk on the phone, and they want to talk on the phone at the dinner table or in a meeting with you. I cannot stand when I'm in the car with someone, when I'm shopping with someone, and they stop talking to me and they get engrossed in a conversation with someone else. And as we're walking through the store or we're sitting in the restaurant, they're having a conversation with the person on the phone, and I'm sitting there eating alone, defeating the purpose for us even having dinner or having a shopping day. We have to really change the way we look at things, and we wonder why relationships are so shallow right now. Relationships are shallow because we have allowed technology to come in and take over. Lastly, I do want to say this. When we have a situation where we go into the stores, and sometimes when we go into the stores, the cashiers will be engrossed in the conversation. And when they're engrossed in the conversation, they don't even say hi to you. They just start ringing up your stuff. They're engrossed in a conversation with one another. They're not even acknowledging you. You are a nobody at that time. But you're really somebody because you're the real reason why they butts got a job. But a lot of times folks don't look at that. And that's really, really sad. Be kind and speak with a tongue that is not rude and a tongue that does not operate in judgment of others. Understand me, just like it said at the very end of our judgmental tongue, because I think this is a really, 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 really good part, that instead of judging people, pray for those that you see walking contrary to God's standards, but do avoid judgment. Okay? Remember, if you run into someone who is judging, gossiping, doing all those ugly things, speaking rude, and you have earned the right to talk to them, make sure that you remember that you earned that right by consistently demonstrating that you care and that you will always be there to support them. That's been it for our 30 days of taming our tongue. Once again, this is what the book looks like. As I said, I will put it in the description box below. You all be blessed and encouraged. I thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please like, comment, and share. Don't forget to click on the bell to be reminded of each and every video. Thank you so much. God bless you. Talk to you all real soon.